Evan Cole stood on shaking ground as the alien storms twisted across the sky like burning ribbons. The escape pod behind him sparked with failing power, and every sound made his heart race faster. He felt lost, dizzy, and unsure if he was dreaming or trapped in a nightmare. But the world around him was to rill the cold wind, the trembling soil, and the distant screams carried across the valley. As the translator crackled again, the strange voice repeated its message with even more urgency. "Human, please. Our world has days left." Evan looked up and finally saw them 3 Auralites standing on a ridge. They glowed softly, their crystal-like bodies reflecting the red moonlight. They were watching him not with fear, but with hope. Hope that he didn't understand. Hope he was not ready to carry. One of them approached slowly, raising a gentle hand toward him. Evan could only whisper, "Why me?" The Auralite answered with a calm sorrow. "Because fate brought you here at the moment we needed someone who can see what we cannot." Evan didn't believe in fate, but in that moment, surrounded by destruction and expectation, he realized he had no choice but to listen. The Auralites guided Evan through the smoking valley toward a shelter carved into glowing stone. Inside, the air vibrated with soft humming energy. Strange symbols shimmered across the walls like living art. Evan, still shaken, tried to understand what these beings expected from him. They explained everything as simply as they could. Their planet, Avalora, had been stable for thousands of years thanks to a massive energy matrix deep beneath the crust. This matrix came from ancient builders long extinct. The Auralites, though advanced, no longer understood the old technology well enough to repair it. And now, after centuries of slow decay, the planet had reached its final phase. Avalora had 5 days before a total collapse. Evan listened carefully, realizing why they had chosen him. His fields in a biological energy ecosystems was extremely rare. On Earth, he had studied similar structures, though none were as large or as alive as this one. Evan tried to protest, telling them he was only a scientist, not a hero. But the Auralites looked at him with a calm, unshakable belief. "Your knowledge is our only hope," the elder said. "You understand living energy. Our world is alive, and it is in great pain." Evan walked outside the shelter and finally took a long, steady look at Avalora. The land stretched into the horizon with beauty he had never seen before. Floating trees drifted slowly across the sky, glowing vines wrapped around crystal towers, and rivers shimmered with soft blue light. But the beauty was mixed with chaos. Parts of the forest flickered like broken holograms, disappearing for seconds before returning. The sky opened with random cracks of white lightning that didn't follow natural patterns. The ground pulsed every few minutes as if a giant heartbeat struggled beneath the surface. The Auralites explained that the living energy organism inside the planet was reacting to the failing matrix. Its pain caused the storms, the shifting gravity, and the unstable terrain. Evan felt a strange connection for Minga scientists' curiosity mixed with genuine concern. The elder handed him a thin data crystal containing all their remaining knowledge of the ancient system. Evan scanned it quickly and his eyes widened. The architecture, the energy flows, ancient designs, it was similar to something he had studied on a forgotten Earth colony. If he was right, there was still a chance to save the planet, but the path would be dangerous. The Auralites prepared a small exploration group to guide Evan to the entrance of the Forbidden Caverns, the only place where the stabilizer device could be accessed. No Auralite had gone there for generations. The radiation inside reacted violently with their crystal bodies. Humans, however, were unaffected. Evan packed equipment from the crashed escape pod: scanners, a protective suit, and a small light drone. The journey began at dawn, though the light barely reached them through the shifting clouds. They crossed floating bridges that sparked with unstable energy and passed through forests where the trees whispered like living creatures calling for help. At one point, gravity shifted sideways, pulling the group toward a cliff. Evan nearly fell, but an Auralite caught him with a glowing hand and steadied him. "This land tests your will," the alien whispered. As they moved deeper, they encountered creatures made of pure energy beings that had formed recently from the planet's instability. They were not hostile, but curious, following Evan like shadows. Every step felt like walking through a world fighting to stay alive. When they finally reached the entrance of the cavern, the elder placed a hand on Evan's shoulder. "From here you walk alone." Evan stood before the cavern entrance, a massive crack in the ground glowing with soft white light. The air around it hummed like a living machine. When he stepped inside, the temperature dropped sharply and the walls glowed faintly, pulsing in time with the planet's heartbeat. As he moved deeper, the radiation scanner remained stable. He was safe so far. Strange symbols carved by ancient builders covered the passageways. Some reacted when he touched them, lighting up and creating new paths. The deeper he went, the louder the heartbeat became. This wasn't sound. It was energy rhythm. At last he reached a vast chamber where the ground opened into a swirling abyss of light. Floating above it was the stabilizer device, shaped like a crystal engine. But it was cracked, unstable, and seconds away from total failure. Evan approached slowly, studying its structure with wide eyes. He recognized the design similar to the ancient colony systems on Earth. He knew how to fix it. But as he reached for the controls, the chamber shook violently. A voice echoed in his mind, not through the translator, but directly an ancient voice belonging to the planet itself. Human. I am dying. Evan stood at the mouth of the cavern, long after the shaking stopped, breathing hard as the echo of the planet's voice faded from his mind. The Orlites hurried toward him, their bodies glowing brighter than before, sensing a change in the air. Above them, the red moons had softened to a gentle orange, and the storms that once tore across the sky slowed into calm, drifting clouds. The world was not fully healed yet, but it was no longer falling apart. As Evan stepped into the open, the Orlites gathered around him in a silent circle. They did not cheer, did not shout. Instead, they placed their glowing hands over their hearts, bowing deeply. Their culture didn't celebrate with noise. They honored life with quiet gratitude. Evan felt overwhelmed. He had come here by accident, lost and confused, but now he had saved billions of lives. The elder approached him and spoke softly. Avolera lives because you chose to act. Gave us time to rebuild. Evan looked at the horizon, now shimmering with new light, and felt a calm he had never known. Maybe this place could become a second home. Maybe saving a world was only the beginning. As the two moons rose higher, Evan realized something important. A lone human had saved a world, not because he was stronger, or faster, or chosen by destiny, but because knowledge, courage, and compassion mattered anywhere in the universe. He smiled as the Orlites guided him back toward their city, ready to help them rebuild, and ready for whatever came next. The narrator's voice returns, asking the viewers a final question. If you were in Evan's place, standing on a collapsing alien world with only your skills to rely on, would you rise to the challenge? Would you risk everything to save a world that wasn't yours? The story fades out with the soft glow of Avallora's renewed sky, reminding every listener that sometimes a single person, one human, can change the fate of an entire planet.